Yo, what is up guys, welcome back to SP Vids. In this video we're inside Ableton. I'm going to show you 10 quick tips to help with your workflow. Hopefully these tips help you make beats faster or any other kind of music as well. So let's get straight into these. The first one which I'm going to show you is if I go to my chop samples track which I have here, I want to make a note on the compressor. Unfortunately in Ableton you can do that. So if you right click on the compressor and you go down to edit info text, you can actually have an area here to type notes. So let's just say experiment with compression. And then if I go back to that again and hit the compressor, you can see my note is available there to see. It's actually when you're hovering over the title of the plugin that you're using. So this is super handy if you're on big projects and want to keep things organized, or if you want to make notes to come back to things later. This is a really handy little feature that Ableton has for you. So the second tip is something that I've covered before. If you go to Preferences in Ableton, click the File Folder tab, and you can see here it says Save Current Set as Default. So what this does is it means that the state that your project's in at that moment in time, that will be the default that loads up every time you start a new project. I've done a separate video on this and you can see that. I'll link to it in the top right hand corner. Basically it makes your workflow way quicker because you're not having to set up drum racks and things like that every time you go into a project. It's all there ready to go. So yeah, you can just save that, or if you want to go back to the default you can just hit that clear button as well. So another super handy feature, and it makes your workflow a lot quicker. Okay, another top tip, if you go into another plugin again, so I'm just back on this chop samples track, if you right click on the compressor here, you can do save as default preset. So what this means is that the settings that you've got applied now, that will be the default when you drop a plugin onto a track. This is a lot better than just having the Ableton stock default, particularly if you're using a plugin in the same way a lot. For example, I always use this compressor to do sidechain compression on my sample, so this is pretty much always the setup that I want. So yeah, setting your new default is way better than having the Ableton default in there. Okay, so the next tip is if you have a MIDI track like I do here, you can actually freeze this track, and what this does is it saves CPU. So if you're struggling to run Ableton, say if you're using a lot of plugins, you can check up in the right hand side here and you can see the CPU that's being used. Obviously mine's very low at the moment, only 1% because I'm not doing anything. But if you have multiple plugins all running at the same time, it can quickly use up resource. So if you freeze the track, it will help free up some resource. And while we're on this one, you can then also flatten as well, which means it changes the MIDI into an actual audio track. And then you can do things like add fades, that kind of thing, take bits out that you don't want, etc, etc. You can edit it like audio. On top of this as well, if you want to do that but you want to preserve the original MIDI, all you have to do is create a new track and then grab this, hold down Option or Alt and drag it down to the track below, and as you can see it's done a straight conversion there, and it's super fast to process that as well, so that's handy. You've still got the MIDI there and you've got the audio to mess around with as well. You could just mute that track if you didn't want that to play anymore. Another quick tip is back in Preferences. So if you go to the Preferences again, if you go to Look and Feel, which is the top tab, you can change the theme. Now, because I spend quite a lot of time in front of a screen, I like to have a dark theme. I just feel that that is a lot easier on the eyes. But if you prefer a different look and feel, you can change the theme really easily like this. And the good thing is, with the extra options underneath, you can also change the hues and color intensity as well. So you can actually change this to whatever color you want. As you can see here, mine is kind of going into sort of red color. And then you can change the hue and have that set to whatever color you want. So you can find something that's really easy on your eyes if you're spending a lot of time at your machine, and then apply that, and it'll make your life a little bit easier when you're working on long or big projects. Okay, the next one again is MIDI related. If you go into a MIDI clip, instead of going down here to play around with the velocity of these, this can get really annoying if you've got stacked MIDI clips like this, because it's hard to get the right note that you want. So instead of doing that, just hover over the MIDI clip that you want to change the velocity of, hold down Command or Control on Windows, and you can just drag up and down like so. And that changes the velocity. You can see the little stem at the bottom moving up and down. Let's just undo that because I don't want to do that. And you can do multiple at the same time as well by pressing Control A or Command A and then doing the same thing, hold Command over, and you can change them all at the same time. You can see all the stems going up and down there as well. So that's super handy if you want to mess around with velocities. You don't have to be messing around with the little stems down here. You can do it actually on the individual notes instead. Another one as well while we're here is if you go to the area where the stems are and you want to do a velocity ramp, you can hold Command or Control again, and if you start dragging, you can see here I'm creating this little line. I'm going to take that all the way to here, and as you can see there now, it's created a velocity ramp, which is like super handy if you're working with a lot of hi-hats. Say in a trap beat you want multiple hi-hats happening really quickly, but you want them to ramp in a velocity, that can be done like that. Or you can do it the other way, you can do it in whatever shape that you want, but it's got to be a straight line. So mainly ramps are going to be easy to do with this. So yeah, another super handy little tip, and it saves having to go to each little stem and edit it. Okay, something that I've noticed a lot recently, say you have multiple clips like this on a track and you want to change the color of that track. Well, I want to change that to green, but then it hasn't changed the color of the clips. That's super annoying. I like to keep my projects really organized, and I like the color coordination of Ableton so that I can see exactly what belongs to what. So in this instance here, you can see that the track is now green, but it's still this kind of light blue on my clips. Easy to fix with Ableton now. All you have to do is right click on the track, go to the bottom, and you can see assign track color to clips. And now we have them all uniform color and all nice and neat and organized. Okay, the final tip that I've got for you is if you like doing fades a lot, which I do, you can use the little arm on each track to change it, which is nice. But also there's a little keyboard shortcut as well. If you just highlight where you want the fade to go to, so if you hold Control Alt F on PC or Command Option F on Mac while it's highlighted, you'll see it automatically puts a fade in there for you. So that's super handy. You don't have to keep going in and doing the arm all the time. You can just highlight it and quickly do that key combination, and it's a lot quicker. So that's it for this one, guys. That was 10 quick tips in Ableton to make your workflow faster. I hope it makes you make beats easier or whatever style of music you're making. If you enjoyed the video, I'd love it if you could hit thumbs up, and if you're new around here, please hit that subscribe button as well. I've got loads more Ableton content coming up. Also, if you've got some tips of your own that you want to share, just leave a little comment below and share that with the community of people that are here. That would be really appreciated. Keep making beats, guys, and I'll be back very soon with more content. Peace!